Acne. Acne is treated like it appears out of nowhere, but the actual mechanism is well understood and rarely starts at the surface. Your pores produce sebum, an oily mixture that keeps the skin barrier intact. When sebum production goes into overdrive and combines with dead skin cells, the pores get clogged. Bacteria called Cutibacterium acnes feed on the trapped oil, and your immune system arrives with inflammation. The thing pushing sebum production up the most is hormonal signaling, and that signaling is downstream of diet. Dairy raises insulin-like growth factor 1, often shortened to IGF-1, which directly stimulates the oil glands. High glycemic foods like sugary drinks, sweets, and refined flour spike insulin, which has the same effect. Industrial seed oils contribute to chronic, low-grade inflammation that makes acne worse and slower to heal. Topical creams can manage symptoms but cannot fix a hormonal driver coming from the diet. Reducing dairy for several weeks is one of the highest yield experiments. Cooking with olive oil, butter, ghee, or avocado oil rather than seed oils lowers the inflammatory load. Foods rich in zinc, vitamin A, and omega-3 fatty acids, including eggs, fatty fish, leafy greens, and nuts, support the regulation of oil production. Bloating. Most chronic bloating is the predictable result of habits that interfere with normal digestion, and the most common one is simply eating too fast. When food is inhaled in a few minutes, large volumes of air are swallowed alongside it, and the gut is left to deal with poorly chewed material it was not designed to process in chunks. Carbonated drinks add even more gas to the same compartment. Highly processed food contributes another layer because it tends to be low in fiber and often contains sugar alcohols like sorbitol, xylitol, and erythritol. These compounds reach the colon largely intact and become food for bacteria that produce gas as a fermentation byproduct. Drinking water rather than soda with meals removes the gas problem. Reducing ultra-processed food and artificial sweeteners removes the fermentable load. Increasing fiber gradually from cooked vegetables, oats, lentils, beans, and berries gives the gut bacteria something useful to work with. Fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi introduce bacterial strains that help displace the problematic ones. Ginger and peppermint tea after meals reduce post-meal discomfort by relaxing the smooth muscle of the digestive tract. Bad breath. The vast majority of bad breath does not originate in the stomach. It originates in the mouth, specifically from volatile sulfur compounds produced by bacteria living between teeth, beneath the gum line, and on the back of the tongue. Brushing addresses the visible front surfaces of the teeth and very little else, which is why people who brush diligently but do not floss or scrape the tongue continue to have a smell they cannot explain. The other major contributor is dry mouth. Saliva contains enzymes, antimicrobial proteins, and buffers that continuously suppress bacterial growth. When saliva production drops during sleep, with caffeine, with mouth breathing, or with chronic dehydration, the bacterial population expands rapidly. High sugar and high refined carbohydrate intake gives the smell-producing bacteria preferred fuel. Daily flossing removes the food and bacterial film that brushing cannot reach. A tongue scraper used in the morning removes more bacterial mass from the back of the tongue in 15 seconds than brushing can. Chewing fresh parsley, mint, or raw apple offers temporary relief through both mechanical cleaning and natural antibacterial compounds. Green tea contains polyphenols that suppress the bacteria responsible for the smell. Constipation. Going to the bathroom every 2 or 3 days is widely treated as normal because it is common, but common and normal are not the same. Healthy bowel function is a daily event. Fiber intake in modern diets sits well below what the gut needs. Insoluble fiber, found in whole grains, vegetable skins, nuts, and leafy greens, adds the physical bulk that triggers the stretch receptors in the colon. Soluble fiber, found in oats, apples, beans, lentils, and chia seeds, holds water and turns into a gel that allows stool to pass smoothly. Both are required, and most people are short on both. Water intake compounds the problem because fiber without adequate hydration becomes harder rather than softer. A sedentary lifestyle reduces the gastrocolic reflex, which is the natural prompting of the colon, by physical movement after meals. Stress directly slows gut motility through the autonomic nervous system. A tablespoon of ground flaxseed or chia seeds added to breakfast adds a substantial fiber dose. Prunes are clinically validated as more effective than psyllium for many people. A short walk after dinner triggers the gastrocolic reflex. Magnesium citrate draws water into the intestines and softens stool. Acid reflux. Acid reflux happens when the lower esophageal sphincter, a ring of muscle at the junction of the esophagus and the stomach, fails to stay closed when it should be. When that valve relaxes inappropriately, acid moves into the esophagus and irritates a tissue that is not built to handle the pH of stomach acid. Caffeine, alcohol, chocolate, peppermint, and high-fat meals all reduce the tone of the sphincter. Smoking has the same effect and also reduces saliva production. Lying down too soon after eating removes the gravitational protection that keeps the contents in place. Excess abdominal fat raises intra-abdominal pressure, which physically pushes stomach contents upward against the sphincter. Counterintuitively, low stomach acid can also cause reflux symptoms because adequate acid is needed to trigger the sphincter to close properly. Finishing the last meal of the day at least 2 to 3 hours before lying down. Elevating the head of the bed by a few inches with risers, rather than just adding pillows. Reducing caffeine and alcohol, particularly in the evening. Ginger tea, chamomile tea, and slippery elm have evidence as soothing agents. Apple cider vinegar diluted in water before meals helps a subset of people whose reflux is driven by low rather than high acid. Chewing sugar-free gum after meals stimulates saliva, which both neutralizes and clears residual acid. Quick break. If you actually want to get in the best shape of your life for summer, I built a 6-week program called Summer Shred, designed to do exactly that. And it comes with a free copy of my cookbook, Bland is Banned. So you're eating food you actually enjoy the entire time. None of that bland diet food nonsense. If you just want the cookbook on its own, it's now available at half price. Both links are in the description. Back pain. Lower back pain in the majority of cases is not a structural injury. It is the cumulative output of sitting for long periods in a position the human body was not designed to hold. Prolonged seated posture shortens the hip flexors, weakens the gluteal muscles that should be doing most of the load bearing during standing and lifting, deactivates the deep core stabilizers, and rounds the upper back forward. The lower back ends up doing the work of multiple structures that have effectively gone offline. When the system is finally asked to perform something simple, like lifting a child or a box, the lower back is the only thing trying, and it fails. The injury is not the lift, it is the years of sitting that left the back as the only available structure. Standing and moving regularly through the day, even briefly every 30 to 60 minutes, prevents accumulated stiffness. Stretching the hip flexors with movements like the couch stretch directly reverses the chronic shortening from sitting. Strengthening the glutes with hip thrusts, glute bridges, and Romanian deadlifts shifts load away from the lumbar spine. Training the deep core with dead bugs, bird dogs, and side planks restores the stability that long sitting eroded. Neck pain. The mechanics of neck pain in modern life are mostly explained by physics. The human head weighs roughly 10 to 12 pounds when stacked correctly above the spine, but the effective load increases with forward tilt because the further the head moves from its center of gravity, the more leverage is created against the muscles holding it up. At 15 degrees of forward tilt, the load approximately doubles. At 45 degrees, the angle people typically use to look at a phone, the cervical spine handles around 50 pounds of effective load. The muscles at the back of the neck and the upper trapezius were not designed to manage that load for hours per day. Over time, the natural cervical curve flattens or reverses, and chronic tightness, headaches, and reduced mobility follow. A stack of pillows that pushes the head forward through the night locks the same forward flexed position into 10 more hours of loading. Holding the phone closer to eye level, raising the monitor on a stand, and choosing a single supportive pillow that keeps the head aligned with the spine all reduce the load. Chin tucks throughout the day re-engage the deep neck flexors. Doorway pec stretches open the chronically shortened front of the shoulders. Magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, and almonds help the muscles relax through normal physiology. Headaches. The majority of recurring headaches in otherwise healthy people fall into a few well-defined categories with identifiable triggers. Dehydration is the single most common one and the easiest to test. Even mild systemic dehydration reduces cerebrospinal fluid volume, slightly enough to cause traction on pain-sensitive structures around the brain. A large glass of water resolves a true dehydration headache within 20 to 30 minutes. Sleep restriction is the next most common cause, both from total hours and from disrupted sleep architecture. Blood sugar swings are another predictable trigger. Skipping meals, fueling on coffee alone, and eating high-sugar, low-protein meals all create the kind of glucose volatility that the brain registers as pain. Tension headaches, which feel like a band around the head, originate in chronically contracted muscles in the neck, shoulders, and jaw. Magnesium has substantial evidence as a preventative and is widely deficient in modern diets. Ginger has demonstrated efficacy comparable to some medications for acute migraine in trials. Peppermint oil applied to the temples can ease tension headaches reliably. Persistent, unexplained headaches warrant a closer look at jaw clenching at night, which is one of the most under-recognized causes of morning headaches. Always tired. Persistent fatigue despite adequate time in bed is not an inevitable feature of modern life. The most common cause is poor sleep quality rather than insufficient sleep duration. Alcohol close to bedtime suppresses REM sleep even when it produces drowsiness initially. Bright artificial light in the evening delays melatonin release and pushes the circadian clock later. Phone use in bed exposes the eyes to light wavelengths that the brain interprets as morning. High sugar, low protein meals cause blood glucose to crash hours later. Reliance on caffeine throughout the day masks underlying tiredness while preventing the deeper sleep that would resolve it. Caffeine has a half-life of around 6 hours, which means an afternoon coffee is still actively present in the system at bedtime. Common nutrient deficiencies, including iron in women, vitamin D in low sun populations, vitamin B12 in people on plant-based diets, and magnesium across the population, all manifest as fatigue. Getting morning sunlight in the eyes within the first hour after waking sets the circadian clock decisively. Limiting caffeine to before midday for sensitive individuals. Eating protein at every meal to flatten glucose curves. If basics are in order and fatigue persists, blood work covering iron studies, ferritin, vitamin D, B12 and thyroid function identifies most of the medical causes. Rapid weight gain. Rapid weight gain almost always has a traceable cause once the actual day-to-day intake is examined honestly. Liquid calories are the most common hidden contributor. Coffee drinks with syrup and milk, juices, sodas, sports drinks, and alcohol can collectively contribute 800 to 1500 calories a day without registering as food, and they do not produce the satiety signals that solid food does. Portion creep is the second major contributor. Default serving sizes drift upward over years, particularly for calorie-dense foods like pasta, rice, oils, nuts, and cheese. Eating out more frequently is the third factor, because restaurant cooking uses more fat, more salt, and more sugar than home cooking by orders of magnitude. Stress and sleep loss make all of the above worse by raising ghrelin, lowering leptin, and increasing cravings for high-calorie food. Cortisol elevation from chronic stress directly promotes fat storage in the abdominal region. Tracking food and drink for 3 to 7 days reveals patterns that estimation does not. Removing liquid calories first is usually the highest yield change. Cooking at home most of the time naturally reduces fat, sugar, and salt loading. Prioritizing whole foods, particularly protein, at every meal reduces hunger and the volume needed to feel full. Daily walking of around 8,000 steps adds a substantial caloric expenditure without requiring formal exercise. Getting sick all the time. A pattern of frequent infections in an adult is rarely about exposure and usually about the immune system not being well supported. Sleep is the largest single factor with the strongest evidence. People sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night have been shown in controlled studies to be roughly 4 times more likely to develop a cold after exposure than people sleeping 7 or more. Vitamin D supports antimicrobial peptide production and is widely deficient in populations spending most of the day indoors. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which suppresses the immune response over time. Around 70% of immune cells reside in or around the gut, which means gut health and immune health are tightly linked. A microbiome damaged by repeated antibiotics, low fiber eating, and chronic stress contributes to both reduced immune function and increased inflammation. Sleeping 7 to 8 hours consistently, daily sunlight exposure on the skin during warmer months, and supplementation with vitamin D in winter for those at risk. A diet built around colorful whole foods, including garlic, onions, ginger, citrus fruits, berries, and leafy greens. Fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi to support the microbiome. Bone broth at the onset of symptoms for the amino acid and mineral content. Dandruff. Dandruff is most often not a hygiene problem and not a dry skin problem. It is a fungal one. A yeast called Malassezia globosa lives on essentially every adult scalp, where it feeds on the oily secretions called sebum that the scalp naturally produces. In some people, the immune response to a byproduct of that yeast called oleic acid is more sensitive, which produces the itching, redness, and characteristic flaking. The flakes are not dry skin in the classical sense. They are accelerated skin turnover caused by the inflammation. This is why moisturizing the scalp does not resolve dandruff. Antifungal shampoos containing zinc pyrithione, ketoconazole, selenium sulfide, or coal tar reduce the yeast population to a level the scalp tolerates. Used a few times per week and left on the scalp for several minutes before rinsing, they produce reliable improvement. High sugar and high refined carbohydrate diets feed the yeast and worsen the inflammatory response. Omega-3 fatty acids from oily fish, walnuts, and flaxseed reduce systemic inflammation. Tea tree oil mixed with a carrier oil has demonstrated antifungal activity in studies. Coconut oil applied for 30 minutes before washing has both antifungal and barrier supporting properties. Cavities. Cavities are not primarily about how often you brush. They are about how often the teeth are exposed to acid produced by oral bacteria feeding on sugar. Streptococcus mutans is the species most responsible. It metabolizes sugar and refined carbohydrate and produces lactic acid as a byproduct. That acid pulls minerals out of the enamel, weakens it progressively, and eventually creates the structural breakdown known as a cavity. The mineral structure of enamel can rebuild itself between acid exposures through saliva-driven remineralization, which is why frequency matters more than total quantity of sugar. Constant grazing on sweet drinks, sweetened coffees, dried fruit, or fruit juice keeps the mouth in a near continuous continuous acidic state that prevents remineralization. Dry mouth removes the saliva that would otherwise neutralize the acid, which is why mouth breathers and heavy caffeine drinkers have higher cavity rates. Brushing twice daily with a fluoride or hydroxyapatite toothpaste. Flossing once daily, limiting sugar and refined carbohydrates to mealtimes rather than spreading them across the day. Sugar-free gum containing xylitol after meals stimulates saliva and actively suppresses Streptococcus mutans. Cheese eaten at the end of a meal raises oral pH and is one of the most overlooked cavity prevention foods. Eye bags. The skin under the eyes is the thinnest skin on the body, which makes it the first place systemic issues become visible. 3 different processes show up there, and they are often confused. Puffiness is fluid retention. Darkness is increased blood vessel visibility through translucent skin. Sodium-heavy diets cause the body to retain water, and the thin under-eye tissue swells noticeably overnight. Dehydration paradoxically does the same thing because the body holds onto fluid more tightly when intake is low. Alcohol disrupts both hydration and sleep architecture, which compounds the appearance. Allergies, including subclinical ones to dust, pollen, or food, drive histamine release that produces puffy lower lids known as allergic shiners. Sleeping on the stomach allows fluid to pool in the face overnight. Poor sleep quality directly worsens the dilation of small blood vessels under the eyes, which makes the darkness more visible through the thin skin. Sleeping 7 to 8 hours on a consistent schedule with the head slightly elevated reduces fluid pooling. Reducing processed food and added salt addresses sodium-driven puffiness. Reducing alcohol resolves multiple contributors at once. Cold compresses, chilled spoons, jade rollers, or chilled green tea bags applied for a few minutes constrict the blood vessels and reduce visible puffiness immediately. Thinning hair. Thinning hair often produces immediate concern about going bald, but most cases in adults outside genetic patterns are driven by reversible factors that disrupt the normal hair growth cycle. Each hair follicle cycles through a long growth phase called anagen, a brief transitional phase, and a shedding phase called telogen. Disruption to this cycle causes more hairs than usual to enter the shedding phase at the same time, producing visible thinning that often shows up 2 to 4 months after the trigger. Protein insufficiency is one of the most common causes because hair is composed largely of the structural protein keratin, and the body deprioritizes hair when total protein supply is limited. Iron deficiency, particularly in menstruating women, starves the follicles of oxygen and is consistently linked to diffuse thinning. Thyroid dysfunction, especially hypothyroidism, slows the entire growth cycle. Chronic stress drives a condition called telogen effluvium, where a substantial proportion of follicles synchronize into shedding, often 3 to 4 months after a major stressor. Aggressive caloric restriction or rapid weight loss does the same thing. Eating sufficient protein, ideally a serving at every meal, supports the structural supply hair needs. Zinc from oysters, beef, and pumpkin seeds is required for hair tissue growth. For people losing hair rapidly, blood work covering ferritin, full iron panel, vitamin D, vitamin B12, and the thyroid panel identifies the most common medical causes. Topically, scalp massage with rosemary oil has shown efficacy comparable to minoxidil in a small but well-designed trial.